things I did initially is to turn off the power to the light. And then the first thing I would have to do is make sure the power is off. I have a little non-contact connector here. You bring it close to the wires. It should go off, if it's live, it'll go off with a beep, 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 beep. Right now it's not going off. This one I know is not power. I know this one is the power wire coming in. The only problem with this one, there's not much slack here, so I can't pull this out any more than what you see here. And I would have to put these cables right into this here, and there's not enough slack there, so what would happen is once I put it in, I wouldn't be able to maneuver this to fit it in this opening, because this is actually bigger than the opening. Once I get it in there, it should be okay. And so I cannot use this recessed fixture, which was my initial intention. This one is an LED fixture. I would have to put like a drywall section in here, and this would actually go in. It's got little clips here. It would go in and sit in place here and be connected to this little box, which I can actually put these wires into, which would be a lot easier. Right now, I can put the wires into this box here, mount it on one of these studs back here. This electrical box that you can see here, what I'm going to do is I open up the cover, and I'm going to attempt to actually break these little openings out. There are two sets of wires up there. I'm going to break this opening out, this opening out. One set of wires will come in through here. The other set will actually come in through here. I'll have wire tie connectors connecting the neutral, the hot wire to the different wires up there. This is an older house. I don't think the circuit is grounded, but I'm going to connect whatever wires I can to the wires I see up there. And this fixture is actually, it's a light fixture. It's a 4-way light switch. It's got 3 different switches that control it. Is to take these little inserts that come on wires that you use to put into metal junction boxes. I'm going to put new ones on these, so I'm going to take this off. So I just pull that off. That's the old one. I have a new one here, which I'm actually going to put. There we go. That's the old one. I'll put a new one there. It actually sits above the insulation for these 2 wires. You don't want to be having it sit on the actual strand of wires. You want it to be sitting on the insulation, and then it's a good idea to actually tighten this down where it sits on the insulation. We'd have to do the same thing for this one too. One of the next things we have to do, there's a little screw-in ring that you have to remove from each of these connectors. So I'm actually going to put these right into the box. So these wires go into the box. I cut this neutral wire on the long piece to this length. I'm going to do the same thing for the hot wire. Okay, cut that. I'm going to do that also for the neutral wire. I cut that. I'm going to try and get this in. Now this is going to be the challenge because it doesn't have much slack. And this one has too much slack. This is what I did. I have 3 sets of wires. You can see these 3 sets of wires coming in from the box itself, going to the light circuit. These 3 wires here come into here through this opening here. I have a little ring holding that little connector in place. Then I have 2 other wires. You can see it here. 2 other wires coming in from the other side. And this is the hot wire coming in from the electrical panel, from the fuse box. And I'm going to hook it up just as I saw it. I made a video. I took some pictures of how it should be connected. I'm going to connect it exactly the same way I saw it before. Since it's a four-way switch, when you do this, make sure you take a picture of the connections. If it's a three-way switch or a four-way switch, definitely, because you can't just go ahead and connect you can't connect all the black wires together, the neutral wires together, because your switches won't work right. You're going to have to, some of the black wires may go to neutral wires, and so on, so there might be some combination. You just have to take pictures of it before you take it apart. Once all the items are connected in the box, you want to actually hook up the LED light, turn on the fuse, the breaker, and actually see if you can turn the switches on and off and if it's working. Yeah, just turned on the breakers everywhere. I have 3 switches I actually tested. I'm going to show you how it's going to turn on and off right now. See that? And it works on all 3 switches, so I know my connections are right. I can get the box ready. I can disconnect the light and take it out. I have a little screw here. I'm going to try and screw this box right up onto the stud. Put a screw right at the bottom of that box, so at least it holds it up and away from the drywall or the wood pieces that'll support the drywall. So that's what I did to keep it out of the way. There's just one screw there to hold that box up. There's no access to put a screw into the top of the box. To do is to actually measure the sections there to make sure what size drywall I need to put in there. You can see these pieces of wood right in here, so I'm going to have to measure from this stud to this one here. This would sit inside here, up here, another one up here, and then the drywall would actually screw into this. So here 1.75, and here I'm measuring 2 1/4 inches. So this one here would be 10 1/4 actually. 10 1/4 plus 1.75 plus 2.25 is what it would be. And I'm going to do it on the other side too. So as you can see, I actually put the 2 pieces of wood wedged between the studs. There are 2 studs, 2x4s on either side. You want to make sure that it's wedged in, because you don't want the drywall to be taking the weight of the section of drywall that'll screw into here. I'm going to cut that next, but I want to screw that into here. So I want these pieces of wood to you actually pull on it and see if it comes down. If you wedge it in properly, it's going to take the weight. So right now it's wedged in, which is good. This one kind of released initially, but I think I wedged it in pretty good. So now I'm going to have to cut the section of drywall that fits in here. I actually went ahead and made this a piece of drywall. This is a drywall that'll go in the space. We talked about that opening where the recessed, where this particular light fixture is going to go into. So I need to cover it with a piece of drywall, but from this section of drywall I'm going to have to cut the section out. I actually measured the width of the opening there. These are the lines on the width on both sides that it needs to be cut. One of the things I need to mention about drywall is it's very, how shall I say, breakable. If you put a little bit of stress in the wrong place, you could end up breaking it. When you're cutting it, you could end up breaking it. So you have to be very careful with this piece. I'm going to see how successful I am with this particular square. Once I take this section out, everything else becomes more fragile. If you drop it, it's going to break. And the other thing I did is I have the outline of the squared opening, and I have this little recessed fixture that you can see here. I did measure from here to here what the opening needs to be, and from here to here what the opening needs to be. The measurements they gave me in the manual didn't take into account the screws, so I'm going to make an opening a little greater than 6 inches, 6 1/8. So I drew a square for the opening that this needs to fit into. So this has 2 tabs. Once this opening is made, and once I install this on the ceiling and have it all sealed up, I'm gonna have to stick these two tabs in here, and it'll go into the little recessed opening and snap back and hold in place. So if you were looking on the ceiling, this would be actually inside this little drywall piece once it's installed. I'm gonna drill a hole. I'm gonna cut the inner section out first, and then the outer section. I'd be drilling a hole in one corner and using a jigsaw to actually go around this. It's gonna be pretty noisy, pretty dusty. I'm going to have to put a second hole there. You can see this is what my intention was. I'll cut this piece out. I was able to fit this in the opening. Look at the back. Look at the back. These two tabs actually hold this in place. And this is the way I want it. So I'm happy it came out okay. Now I got to cut this other section out. The only problem with this drywall, like I said, if you let it drop, it's going to break. You have to be very, very careful with this. See all the drywall dust? It's all fine dust. It gets really messy when you do this kind of work. Look at my hands. Okay, I got the section out. See that? Got the section out.